Welcome to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. It is I, Game Relief. Well, you knew that, didn't you? If you've been listening for a while. If you haven't been listening to it for a while, though, it's I, Game Relief, and you're about to get geeky with us as we dive into an interview. But first, make sure you go over to www.gamereliefgo.com to sign up for our mailing list so you can be entered into great giveaways, get exclusive content like podcasts before your peers and all kinds of stuff. Make sure you go ahead and do that. And now we'll go ahead and join me interviewing one of the creators of another Kickstarter game that is currently on Kickstarter. I'm interviewing Dan. So make sure you go check out that interview, and we'll catch you all on the flip side of the interview.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
The clock is ticking. Your team of investigators have been sent to Relay for the purpose of reinforcing the failing gate and trapping Cthulhu in his prison forever. The investigators have two enemies, the clock and the cultists hidden among their numbers. Triggering the 4 needed incantations will take all of the skill your team can muster, and you don't have the luxury of time to search for the traitors in your midst. The odds are slim, but the fate of the world rests in your hands.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is the story of the Gate of Rayla, however you say that, and we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind behind this great game. Is that correct? Is that how you fall into line with the Gate of Rayla, Dan?
Yeah, and so like relay or rela or any number of ways you say it, my last name is also kind of unpronounceable, so it perfect fit, I guess, huh?
Well, there you go. So you're the creator mastermind behind this game, is that right, Dan?
Yeah, I have help, but the main developer, yeah.
Well, there you go. Thank you for joining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. We really appreciate it, Dan.
No problem.
Okay, so before we get into talking about the game and whatnot, why we came here tonight, let's rewind a little bit if we could. We don't have to go very far back unless, of course, you were born into board gaming, but how did you get started in the world of tabletop board gaming, playing games and whatnot?
Well, yeah, I was playing Avalon Hill games when I was a teen, and we'll fast forward. There's a lot of interaction with board gaming, but more recently I kind of fell into this by accident. I was a counselor for years, and I have a friend that I introduced to geocaching, and he went nuts with it, and his kids wanted to have a geocaching themed birthday party. And I went out to buy a game about geocaching because there's a game about everything. And if you don't know what geocaching is, it's a high-tech treasure hunt. And so there wasn't one. And I ended up making one for his birthday party. And he and I were the only geocachers, but the rest of us were board gamers. And they said, man, you should do something with this. So we started going to conventions and met some people that really helped us along the way. And we came out with Cash Me If You Can in 2013. Got some investors, started the company, and where this is, I think, game number 5 or 6. Lose count. There's a couple expansion packs in there, and we have a couple of other simultaneous projects going on.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, looking at your Kickstarter page, it looks like there's about 8 that were created.
Well, Legacy at Sea isn't out yet. That's in development, and trying to think what else is on the page. Maybe it's pretty bad. I can't remember anymore. We have a camping game that we did for another company. That's not on our page. And Yokai Hunters, I don't think is on the page, and that's another one that's pretty close to release. The rest are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 main ones. The geocaching game has a card game, so that's 6. A couple of expansion packs to that. And the camping game. So about 7 are out or will be out.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's pretty cool. So yeah, geocaching. I remember my father-in-law was kind of into that. So I vaguely remember he had to look at his GPS and go to certain locations, and people would leave stuff. Is the game similar to that, or what can you tell us about Cache Me If You Can, the geocaching card game?
Well, that one. There's a board game and a card game. The card game's a simpler, fast kind of press your luck game, but the geocaching board game comes in like an ammo can game box, and it simulates the experience of it. So you're kind of traveling through the woods looking for caches and dealing with the hazards and things you run into. So you don't actually use a GPS or phone to play the board game. It's a pure simulation about it.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, that's awesome. So, minus one of your games, because I imagine my audience would drag me out in the street and have me hung if I let you pick one of your games. But minus those, do you have a current favorite game that you like right now, Dan?
Well, I do, but it's not really that current. But Firefly. Firefly? Yeah, the board game that came out a few years ago. And once you plow through the rule book, or better yet, go on Board Game Geek and download the fan-written rule book, it's a fun game. But earlier tonight we played Eldritch Horror. That was also pretty good.
Oh, cool beans. So I've heard of it and stuff, but I have yet to play Firefly. My wife, I think she watched the TV show. I haven't even watched the TV show. That shows you how far behind I am. But for other people that might be out there like me, what can you tell us about Firefly, the board game?
Well, if you haven't watched the show, I think the interview's over. I can't talk to you anymore.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, we're going to cut this to an end. Thanks for joining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. We really appreciate it, Dan. You have a great night now.
No, I'm just kidding.
So was I.
The board game feels a lot like the show, and it's a bit different because essentially you're mostly what you're doing is picking up and delivering jobs across the galaxy, and some of them may be legal, some may be illegal, which have different consequences that go with that. But there's more depth to it than that, but it very much feels like the show, which was an excellent character-driven show.
And if I recall, that has the Richard Castle character as well as maybe Adam Baldwin. Am I right?
Adam Baldwin was in there, yeah. In Alan Tudyk and of course Nathan Fillion, and yeah, it's a crazy good show.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. The guy he's Richard on Castle.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, he was on Castle. In fact, on Castle, they make references to the show a few times.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I like Adam Baldwin. I think I saw him in what did that show me and my wife watched? It's like this guy who is kind of works at a geek store, but then he becomes a secret agent or whatever. Yeah, we have it on DVD, but I can't think of the name right now.
That's it. I haven't seen that. Maybe I need to look up Adam Baldwin. But anyway, yeah, a lot of the cast shows up working together once in a while. And Alan Tudyk's done some pretty fun.
Yeah, it's going to bug me. Yeah, but Adam Baldwin, I really like him. He's pretty funny and whatnot, or he can be.
Yes. It's not Bosch, is it?
What's that? Dang it, that's going to bug me. Let me see. I'm trying to look it up right now. See if I can. Chuck. It's called Chuck. It ran from 2007 to 2012.
Chuck?
Yeah, he's one of the secret agents or one of the FBI, or I don't remember what they are, but yeah, he's one of the people that kind of keeps the main character safe.
I knew about Chuck. I didn't really watch it that much.
Yeah, so that's where I saw him before, and then recently he worked with Larry Correa, who is a best-selling author, to create an Audible. It's an Audible book you can go ahead and listen to online. Larry Correa writes it, and Adam Baldwin does all the reading of it and the voice acting and whatnot. It's really funny. It's hilarious. I just finished it today, in fact. Well, there you go. I should probably check that out. I know it was a while back ago. Do you know if that's on either Amazon or what do you call it, Netflix?
Well, you'll like them in Firefly.
Oh boy, I guess if you snooze, you lose.
Was on Netflix, but I think they took it off recently, so I'm not sure about Amazon.
Oh boy, I guess. Okay, I'll have to check that out. But now the word on the street is, because we didn't come here to talk about Firefly, especially you almost tried to cut the what do you call it, the show closed early due to me not watching it or whatnot, or not knowing about the board game. But the real reason we're here, I think, Dan, at least that's what I thought I was going to interview you, is to talk about the elephant in the room. You currently have a new game on Kickstarter called, let's see, The Gate of RLYEH. What can you tell us about the gate to Rayla, or however you say that?
That's one of the many ways of saying it. So we've been developing this for over a year, and as we take it to different conventions and have played it, it's and actually there's a couple of reviews out there that you can check out, through our Kickstarter. Actually, another one's coming out next Monday from the Board Game Buffet with Dean Liggett. But basically, it's a social deduction game. And when you say that, most people are going to think the Resistance, Werewolf, those kind of games. And it has that traitor element. However, there's much more game involved in it. And so a couple of the key differences is so basically you're trying to create 4 sigils before the clock strikes midnight, and Cthulhu comes out and basically destroys the world. So the real enemy in the game is actually the clock, because it keeps ticking as time runs down, and you're attempting to...
So is there a real clock, or what do you use for the clock?
No, it's each player takes a turn, and when it comes back around to the first player, the clock ticks down 1. It is a highly social game, so you don't necessarily want to have a real clock running, because a lot of the fun is in the discussion. And the other thing is in the 5 to 8 player count, there's multiple cultists, but they don't know each other. And typically in social deduction games, there's a part where you close your eyes and the traitors open their eyes and see each other and that kind of thing. And there's none of that in this game, and it actually adds to the paranoia, because we played it tonight, and I was a cultist, and I'm looking across the table at the other cultist, and he thought I was right on to him and I was an investigator because I kept looking through him. And it's just kind of increases your paranoia, because you can't trust anyone, really. And so as a cultist, you're trying to delay, sabotage what is going on without being discovered.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I haven't played too many social deduction games. I think, what is it called? Kung Pao Chicken. That's kind of a somewhat of a social deduction. We don't know who our characters are or whatnot. But yeah, this one sounds really cool. Even just looking at the art and whatnot, I'm a big Cthulhu, even though I don't know much about it and haven't read any of, what is it, the creator of
Lovecraft.
Yeah, Lovecraft. I haven't read any of his books or whatnot. I can't even read The Gate of Rutla, or how we say that.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. You said it even when we were talking before this, that he didn't even say Cthulhu like we say it today.
Yeah, I'd heard he said Cthulhu, but he intentionally tried to make all these names unpronounceable because it's not of our world. And so there's really no right way to say that, and I'm sure I say it wrong, quote unquote, too. It's just become easy to call it that. So there's, you also, a main staple of Cthulhu games is the loss of sanity, and this is no exception. So when you do certain actions, the part where there's more game is that each time it comes around to your turn, you have the choice of one of 5 actions you can take. So you're not just doing one thing. Some of those actions cause you to draw a card from the insanity deck, and about half of the insanity deck cards say, no sanity loss, there's no effect. But the other half affect people in different ways, and much of those are public knowledge. So things like you see one less card when you're investigating, and so as the game progresses and we all lose sanity in different ways, it progressively becomes more difficult to do certain things because of your insanity. But you never quite feel like you don't have a choice. It just mitigates and maybe steers you in a certain direction because there's consequences to certain actions that you might take.
Oh boy, so I'm worried if I play this that my friends or family might hate me more because I'm told I suffer from analysis paralysis.
That is possible because, so one of the things is it's reverse from the other games because there is no player elimination, so you can't, if you discover a cultist and you get everyone to vote that someone is a cultist, they actually flip their player card over and they become kind of pesky. They're reduced in their power. But you can, look across the table and say, who put this card in? And I wonder if it was that person or that person. And you can kind of talk yourself around in circles and not make up your mind if that's one of your tendencies.
Oh boy, well I guess I'm screwed then. That's not good.
Maybe they just have to put a clock on you.
There you go. We'll have to get that clock. That'd be good.
You have to decide in 3 minutes.
There you go. That wouldn't be good. Yeah, but that might be good for them, but not me necessarily. But yeah, even just looking at scrolling through the Kickstarter page, I love the art for this game. It's like really pops out and grabs me.
Yeah, the artist we got actually is from the Philippines, and he's excellent. He sent out the proofs to look at, and I was like, wow, and that was even before he finished up on stuff. So if we hit some more stretch goals, we actually have some more art we'd like to add into some things. We'll see if we get there. We're close to one right now. We're about a little under $100 away from our next.
Yeah, right now at the time of this recording, you were going for $5,000, and you're almost close to $8,000.
Yeah, and so if we hit the $8,000 one, it adds another character into the game, and then it will trip the next stretch goal, which we will then announce as soon as we hit the 8,000 mark.
Oh boy, I imagine they're going to have that figured out by the time we release this episode or whatnot. So I guess that we'll have to wait for that.
Yeah, they're all secret.
Yeah, this looks like a bunch of question marks. There's like 5, 6, 7, 8 question marks on those. So yeah, go ahead and because it's like you said, it's already funded and going towards stretch goals. So make sure you go ahead and at least check out the Kickstarter page. We'll leave a link in the show notes or whatnot, and might as well throw some money towards it if they want to get this game. What's that going to put them out?
Well, so we have a couple of things, but the base game is $39. There's also a local author who has written a series of Dear Cthulhu books, and so they're kind of like advice columns. So people write into Cthulhu, and he gives advice, which they're humorous books, and he's making 100 copies with the Gate of Relay artwork on it. And so we're actually doing those with the game and adding $7 more on the game. So for $46, you'd get the game and then that limited edition book. And then oddly, we also have a Agent 299, which is a 9-card game that has some pretty amazing twists and turns for a 9-card game. Pretty easy to play, pretty easy to learn, but
And that's only $6, it looks like.
if you wanted to just get that, it's $6 and it includes shipping. So internationally, obviously, there's higher shipping rate on that. But then we have videos and down at the bottom of the page of a playthrough there of how that game works. And we brought it to a local game store the owner wanted to play the Gator Relay, and we started playing Agent 299, and he kept wanting to play Agent 299. Like, well, at some point we have to stop playing this game and get to the next one. So,
so it looks like you kind of sabotaged yourself with that game too.
Yeah, well, it's something we just wanted to kind of throw in here as a bonus, and we've actually even made it a little better from when we recorded the playthrough video there. But
it looks like at the $39 they get both the Gator Relay, or however you say that, and a copy of Agent 299. So it looks like that they'll be squared away for that $39 you talked of.
Right, that's correct.
Well, there you go. So per se, somebody takes a chance on this. When would they anticipate? I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but when would they anticipate being able to get their 2 games and possibly their advice from Cthulhu?
We're looking at October of this year, and we've pretty much been on schedule with our other Kickstarters. We did have one that was a little delayed because the largest port fire in the history of Los Angeles happened the day our ship arrived, and that kind of pushed things back. So,
was your game salvageable, I hope, or what happened with that?
Yeah, the ship was pulling into the port, and then it didn't pull in. So, but the port was a mess, so it took 2 weeks to work around it. Yeah, the ships were fine.
Did you have to go to Texas and collect them or something?
No, they were fine. They never made it onto the docks, so they didn't burn up. It just took a while and delayed things a few, probably 3 weeks, I think. So that stuff's unavoidable. Problems in customs. Sometimes if customs seizes a container, that'll add a month onto things. However, we have a pretty good shipping agent now, so that they have their own customs check-in in Chicago and Syracuse, New York, so it helps avoid a lot of that.
Well, there you go. That's pretty good. So awesome. So yeah, so you go ahead and check that out. We're not now. We have a running joke, but nobody's confirmed whether it's a joke or not on the podcast. So per se, somebody's fallen asleep. It wouldn't be because of you or your great game, Dan. It'd be because of me and my podcast. At the time of this recording, which is about the middle of April, we've already launched. I think this morning we put out our 56th episode of the year of 2018 thus far. And so they get a little tired of hearing me drone on and on. So they kind of fell asleep. But now they're suddenly jolted awake so they don't hit that oncoming traffic. And you have their full attention, Dan. Why should they take a chance on the gate of R''Lyeh, especially with all the other great games that are out there on Kickstarter currently?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games. I can quote other people probably better. Dean Liggett, who does a breakfast game spot on the Dice Tower with Tom Vassell, said that this is going to be his go-to social deduction game. We did a live cast last week where one of the game players just looks at me and into the microphone says, "I've never played a game quite like this before." The energy after people play this game is incredible. They just talk and talk about it. And you can, Unfiltered Gamer did a review that they just posted, and you can hear the enthusiasm in his voice. And he had, they do tough reviews, and he had nothing negative to say about this game.
Yeah, I was about to ask because I saw him on there, Michael Wright. So he liked it?
Oh, he loved it.
Oh boy, I'll have to watch that. So yeah, I really enjoy his stuff. So yeah, so that's awesome. So they don't necessarily have to take your word for it because it sounds like you might be biased, but there's quite a few reviews out there.
Yeah, and I also don't like to self promote. It's and plus who are you going to listen to? I think it's better to have third party folks. And we have we recorded some people after they got done playing it. The challenge has been in showing actual people playing it, because typically it's at conventions and it's so loud that you can't hear what they're saying, and so we don't have a lot of video of the actual gameplay until we just posted the 20 Side of Life guys did a full playthrough with us, and that's up on our I think it's on the Kickstarter, but it's up on our YouTube channel anyway.
Okay. So there you go. There you go. You have it. So that's awesome. So even if you don't necessarily take his word for it or you fell asleep through half of the interview, he just barely told you why you should take a chance on it or whatnot. But yeah, definitely go ahead and check out that Kickstarter link and whatnot. Now, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to any of our podcasts or not yet, Dan, but per se, well, either way, it doesn't matter if you haven't. But the next portion of our podcast is called The Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for a cell phone, a tablet, a computer, or even a video game. It doesn't even necessarily have to be related to tabletop board gaming or Gates or R apostrophe LYEH or Cthulhu or anything like that. Just an app you use a lot of. Is there an app you use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment, Dan?
Yeah, well, actually, the more interesting, the one I was going to talk about is probably more interesting, but the one I just saw below it is kind of more relevant, and actually a lot of gamers might like this if they aren't aware of it. And it's an app called Chwazi, and it's spelled Chwazi, and it's a free application, and basically it's a first player picker. So everybody puts their finger on the phone, and these circles swirl around their finger, and eventually it stops on one person, and they are the first person to go.
Oh, there you go. So in the rule book of the gate of relay, it doesn't have who goes first, like the last person who ate a sandwich or something. It doesn't have that. You just go ahead and download this app called.
No, it's called Chwazi, Chwazi, or you can just search first player pickers or choosers. There's a few out there, I think. No, we don't have anything like that, just because they can get a little silly. I've tried some of those in the past, and just let people decide how they want to choose first player.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because I'm going to be reviewing a game. I was reading the rules today, and it has the youngest player goes first, and if that's the case, I will most likely never be able to go first.
Yeah. So just to, we did something with player with the longest hair at one point on the geocaching game, and then that led to a lot of interesting conversations about hair on your head, facial hair, on and on.
Well, there you go. So Chwazi, so if you own the rights to that application or app, what would be one thing you would do to make it better or fix it, Dan?
Oh, Chwazi? Huh. Probably not a small electric shock for the winter, but gosh, I don't know.
Does it do that?
No, I don't think you would want to do that either.
They wouldn't be able to go first anymore.
No.
You'd kill them.
Well, small, little.
Oh yeah, small, yeah.
A little tingle, not a. I tell people that's what happens that have never seen it before, and they get a little nervous.
Oh, there you go.
No, I mean, I guess they could make it fancier and like fireworks go off and stuff, but it pretty much serves its purpose and does a nice job.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so we try to make a green podcast so people listening down the road can be able to find out and whatnot. So if the creators or anybody that has anything to do with development of Chwazi, the app, is listening, you heard it here first on what Getting Geeky with. You heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. What Dan would do to make that a better app. Don't take the fact that he wanted to. It was a small shock after all. He's not trying to kill the first player, not have anybody be able to play games and whatnot. Keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I think blowing up phones might be a problem.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, now we don't want to keep you all night on the podcast. I know it's kind of late where you are, Dan, but minus coming there to stalk you in your hometown, how would people go about finding out about you or games you have coming out in the future, or even the gate of R'_LYEH is on Kickstarter currently?
Just dphgames.com. We'll get you there. Facebook, Twitter. We do have some Instagram presence, but not a lot.
Okay, does that stand for anything, the DPH, or what's that mean?
The DPH? Well, actually, we have this fancy three Latin words that we've loosely translated to the intoxicating pursuit of the game. It probably literally translates to drunken chasing party or something, but DPH is actually my initials, though.
Oh, there you go. So there we go, Dan, and then PH. There you go. So yeah, so go ahead. Like I said, we'll leave a link in the show notes, especially for the Kickstarter and whatnot. So at least go ahead and check that out and get on the bandwagon so you can get this game and help it get toward the stretch goals. It looks like they have through the 29th of April to back this great game. Is that correct, Dan?
I believe so, or the 30th.
Yeah, it looks like the 29th of April is what the Kickstarter page says, about 11:13 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know it's coming right at the end of the month.
There you go. So make sure you check that out. But like I said, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us, Dan.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
You heard her right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Kickstarter Corner. First off, we're going to go ahead and tell you about this one because they are oh so close. Yes, oh so close. WUNDERKAMMER, the card game of curating curious collections. It's a tabletop game where players compete to acquire unusual artifacts and curate the most magnificent cabinet of curiosities. It's for 3 to 5 players, and at the time of this recording, with 3 days to go, they're oh so close. They're going for $11,087, and they're at $7,685. So what does that mean? They need to get, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they need about, that would put them at 8, 9, 10, 11, $3,400. Let's help them realize this great game and make it a reality. We've got Arena the Contest, tabletop miniatures board game. It's a fantasy tactical combat miniature tabletop for 1 to 8 players with a co-op dungeon crawler and player versus player team competition. I know that Lady Leaf wanted to get this one. They've got 7 days to go at the time of this recording, and they're 1,000% funded. Definitely check this one out. It is amazing. There's even a huge dragon. What can go wrong if you got a dragon miniature in a cool game, huh? Well, anyways, check it out on the Kickstarters, and then you remember, or maybe you don't because you're a youngin', but if you're my age, you might remember Terminator. Well, Terminator Genisys Rise of the Resistance is a co-op 1 to 4 player action adventure game featuring an original campaign set in 2029 Terminator universe. Definitely check this one out on the Kickstarter at the time of recording. They had 11 days to go, going through the 30th of April. Definitely check that one out. Arnold is back in a board game. And then don't forget about No Escape. No Escape is a competitive maze building take that game for 2 to 8 players. They got 28 days to go. They're going through the May 17th, which is a Thursday. You'll want to pay attention to, our next interview, because we're going to be talking to the creator If it's not next one, it's the one following that. But either way, we're going to talk to him, as well as we're going to talk to the creator of Dobbers Quest for the Key, which is on Kickstarter as well. Let me tell you something new about this game. We've been doing something different every time. Let's see. It's a game of simple mechanics and deep strategy. The mechanics are straightforward as a deck building game. You use influence to acquire new cards for your personal deck and to place challenges on the board. You use action points to move your hero on the board and overcome place challenges. The complexity comes when you consider which locations you place on the board and what combination of creatures, weapons, and items will best slow down your opponent. Not to mention, what is the best combination of equipment that will ensure your hero has all the influence and action points he or she will need to reach the key first. Definitely check this one out on the Kickstarters. It's not your normal deck builder. No siree, it's not. And let's see here. For some reason, I keep on clicking the link that he initially gave me. Well, of course I'm going to give you the link. Click on that link. Supposedly it was supposed to take me to the Kickstarter, but it never does. But I can go ahead and... Can I? Well, you can click to, let's say, Kickstarter Live now. I'm going to click Kickstarter Live now, and I will try to give you that link. Right now, they got about $10,000 to go with 29 days to go. So, yeah, definitely check that one out. And then, last but not least, which has another one with a week left, is Mobster Metropolis. Create your syndicate, rise to power. This is for 13 plus. We had Carl and Carl on the show the other day, and it was an amazing interview. Invest in turfs and recruit or conduct drive-bys in order to become the most powerful gangster boss in this 2 to 4 player strategy game. If you missed our interview with Carl and Carl, definitely check it out. I want to say it was my funnest, possibly funniest interview ever, where I actually tease, well, I don't know if it's teasing or not, but we talk about Carl and Carl's involvement in the Swedish mob. Definitely check that one out. It was only a few days ago that it was coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Now, you know you don't have to always leave us in the dark, because now you can sign up for our mailing list and get exclusive content, meaning podcasts before your peers. You can also get extra entries and be able to find out about giveaways before anybody else. I'm not going to tell you. Well, I guess I will. Next Thursday, which I believe is the 26th. Let me check on my calendar. Yeah, next Thursday, the 26th, we're going to have a doohunky, or I don't know if that's a word, but an awesome, we'll just say awesome for sake of argument, giveaway. So definitely go ahead and sign up for our mailing list. You just go to www.gamereliefgo.com and you can sign up for it right there. And definitely check that out. And we'd love to be able to keep in contact with you and keep you up to date on what's going on with Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Do you want to see or hear, well, I guess you wouldn't see it, but do you want to hear about your game on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, either in the Kickstarter Corner or in an interview or whatnot? Go ahead and contact us over at gamerelief@gamereliefgo.com, or send me a Facebook Messenger through Messenger, either to Getting Geeky with Game Relief or Blake Leaf, do what's in my personal account. I'm pretty good about that, and that's the best way to get a hold of me, and it's that least favorite time now that we all have. You go ahead and get on with your lives, we'll get on with ours, and I guess we'll catch you all on the, you guessed it, flip side. Game Relief out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.